There is nothing more frustrating than investing energy and time into a project just to have a team member fall short on their responsibility. And then, when questioned, well, let me know if any of the following responses sound familiar to you, such as, I didn't have time, or my plate was full. Note that this is a project this person volunteered for, and had they not volunteered, it would have been directed to another team member. How about, I never learned how to fill in the blank? Yes, a task they were assigned about 2 weeks ago and have not given any communication with you since that time. Or let's hold on, everyone's favorite when you ask about a project, what project? Tell me, how could someone forget a project or a project due date? Well, when performance falls short of expectations, team members and leaders need to know how to effectively address unmet expectations. Unfortunately, in the world of work, many people have not distinguished the difference between holding someone accountable and committing character attack. So let's differentiate the two. What addressing unmet expectations is not versus what it is. What it is not: attacking, blaming, or any form of shaming or dehumanizing. It's not punishing someone or trying to control them. Addressing unmet expectations is respectfully identifying and describing the gaps, what was expected versus what was observed, and then describing their impact. And it is possible to safely address expectations or unmet expectations and respectfully do that. And I recommend using my Safe Conversations communication framework. Now, in the following slides, I'll briefly describe each of the components you'll see that are listed in my chart. And while I describe each one, you will see a slide that also is going to show you the section of my Addressing Unmet Expectations worksheet, where you can create your own dialogue for addressing an unmet expectation. So if you'd like, feel free to download, grab that worksheet, and as I walk through each component, go ahead and feel free of compose your dialogue. You can put me on pause if you need to. Otherwise, I'm going to move forward. And while today I'm going to move through in a circular pattern, sometimes conversations aren't linear or circular, but it's important to be prepared to use each component, because each one is important to getting to the root of the problem, as well as to get an agreement moving forward so that this expectation is met in the future. So before addressing an unmet expectation, check in with the person. Be curious. Curiosity helps you to suspend judgment. When you care enough about this person to first check in before addressing an unmet expectation, you've made a first step in creating safety to talk, as well as communicating concern for this person. So curiosity helps you again to suspend judgment, And checking in can be a way of gathering background information, getting this person to talk. Is there something that they know that you don't know? And one way of communicating or checking in is something that sounds like, I wanted to check in to see how you are doing. So letting them just know that you care. And it could be that you will still need to address the unmet expectation, but still make the relationship first and kick it off with a good start. After checking in with the person, begin your conversation by doing this, opening up with positive wants. And this is where you describe what you want for this person, not from, though, for this person, for their success. That could be how you want them to be seen, that you want them to be successful. It could also include the relationship that you want to have. It could sound like, I want us to have a positive working relationship. It could sound like, I want you to be successful in this job. Think about what you want for them, how you want them to be more successful because of this conversation, and thinking of that as being your motivation for the conversation. Now, you can certainly also include others, what I want for the team, as well as for yourself. So I want you to be successful. I also want to be able to count on you to meet deliverables. So some examples there. What is not a positive want for someone would be, I want you to be on time moving forward. That is not for the person. That is what you want from, and from comes at the end of this conversation, and I'll model that later. After positive wants, you want to move to identifying the action. By that, what the person did or didn't do. And you want to use facts here. When I see you entering our 9 a.m. meeting at 9:15, that's a fact. That's an observation. And notice there that I used an I statement. Great to open up with that, because you need to stop. That could come across so accusatory, and you haven't gathered that much information yet. So also okay to well, use the I statement, and then sometimes people want to use the words, I'm concerned when I see you, or I'm disappointed as I was expecting the project on a certain day. So the example I gave here is, when I see you entering our 9 a.m. meeting at 9:20, there is the action. So after action, talk about the impact of that action. And that means, what are the consequences? How is everybody affected? Also, what's at risk of this unmet expectation? If an employee is not returning phone calls, it's not just that the consequences, the client may get angry. The consequence is that the client may find another person to work with and not your organization. So identifying impact could sound something like this. I'm concerned that we lost 20 minutes of hearing your input, and needed discussion was delayed because you were not here. Since they were late for the meeting, their participation was limited. So in order to explore and discover root causes of this problem, you'll want to invite conversation. And a great way of doing that, if it doesn't naturally happen, is to be ready by asking a question. And usually open-ended questions are always preferred. questions that will help you discover any unknown challenges, any contributions, things that happened that you didn't know. Is there any background information that this person can give to help you understand? In doing all of this, you will be able to help explore what are the root causes, and what that could, inviting conversation could sound like. Help me to understand, and then fill in the blank. Where did you face any unforeseen challenges that I'm not aware of? So questioning is a great way to gather more information. And once you've got enough information or more information, that can then help you discern on, are there some legitimate concerns? You still may have a problem with failure to communicate, but were there some legitimate concerns, unforeseen circumstances that someone cannot control? Were there justifiable reasons? But you can also help assess whether, is there a time management problem here? Is there a failure of this person to follow through, to organize and keep some kind of a calendar or schedule? And was there a breakdown in communication? If so, where? And what's contributed to this, so that we can get to the root causes of those. Now, before ending your conversation, it is important to make sure you get a commitment moving forward. And to do that, you are going to request a commitment. And from this person moving forward, what they will ensure, promise, commit to do. And it could sound like, I'm counting on you to, do I get your agreement for this? Moving forward, may I get your agreement that you will be here on time for all meetings? You will be here at the time the meeting starts. Once you get that, it might be appropriate to then say, you know what, thanks for your commitment, your agreement. I'm counting on you to keep this. And while I'm counting on you to meet this agreement moving forward, I also want you to know that if an unmet expectation like this occurs in the future, it will be a performance problem, and we will need to discuss that. And there are consequences that may occur. So being clear and honest, but also once you have the information in the conversation, you'll be more focused on how far you need to go. Know that in my work with organization, I've observed that what separates high-performing teams from low-performing teams and team members and culture, high culture versus low culture, is the ability to effectively address unmet expectations. So let me close with the following quote. Really, all frustration is birthed out of unmet expectations, and so is nearly every conflict. May you nip conflict in the bud by effectively addressing unmet expectations. Wishing you well on your safe conversations journey.